What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's the team selection for Game Week 10. We're going to jump straight into it by looking at how I did in Game Week 9. I did get a red arrow. Do you remember what I was saying last week about how the points are still spread? So if you have a bad game week, you could easily get like a big red arrow. And if you have a really good game week, obviously a big green arrow because the points are so close together. If you watch the deadline stream as well, I just didn't feel confident about this week at all. I made the move for Jamie Vardy from Lukaku, because obviously Lukaku was out injured ahead of Norwich. I wasn't really happy with my team. I kind of wanted to find a way to get Havertz, so it's probably a good thing that I priced myself out of that in the end. And to be honest, I feel like I got a little bit lucky. Right, I went for Salah because Lukaku got injured. There wasn't really anyone else in my team that I wanted to go for. And as much as I'm a Man United fan and sometimes the decisions I make for my own team are a little bit biased, I do know, or am at least aware of the fact that sometimes I need to think about those biases. So I knew that Man United weren't playing really well, but I didn't expect them to get smashed either. So obviously not great from a football perspective at all. We'll see what happens with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm very surprised that he hasn't been fired yet. I just don't see how he can come back from this, but we'll wait and see what happens. But from an FPL point of view, Salah is just ridiculous. And I'm probably going to talk about it a little bit more in the Game Week preview, which will be on Friday this week. I might roll it up into a final thoughts video. But there probably is very little reason to not captain Mo Salah for the next few weeks at least. Right? I'm not saying he's a permanent captain for the rest of the season because things change quite quickly in FPL. But right now, if you don't captain him, you are going massively against the crowd for a player that just looks so good right now and is scoring against absolutely everyone. So he got 48 points, which is insane. Trent obviously got 10 as well. In the end, I only fell to 36k from 13k. And given how my Saturday went, I was pretty happy about that. Ramsdale and Saka obviously started off on Friday, didn't do anything. I lost a double clean sheet for Man City as well. Laporte came on for Azpilicueta. So once Azpilicueta didn't play at all, I was quite happy. But once Laporte lost a clean sheet, that was a nightmare. And then Livramento was stuck to my bench for the second week in a row. And I really struggle with players around that kind of 4 million price point about whether to play them. Because the reason I didn't play him is because I don't rate the Southampton defence that highly. And once again, they conceded. But he gets his goal, gets a couple of bonus points, and now you look like an idiot for not playing him. But everything else, until it got to that Liverpool-Man United game, it just went wrong. Like Jimenez got the assist. Antonio scored, to be fair, as well. But Vardy came off for a one-pointer. And Mbeumo came off for a one-pointer. Rafinha came off for a one-pointer. I've got 4 flags in my team now as well. But in the grand scheme of things, just going down to 36k for how Saturday went, like I thought I was going to struggle to get to 25 points. It wasn't too bad in the end. So I was bailed out by Liverpool. Let's see how Game Week 10 is looking. Okay, so let's look ahead to Game Week 10. I've got 1 free transfer. I really wish I had 2. I've got 4 flagged players, but obviously I have got a pretty deep squad, a pretty deep bench as well. So I'm not panicking just yet. I'll be honest, on Saturday, after watching Foden get his points again for Man City against Brighton, or I think that was on Saturday evening, I was really close to making an early transfer. Now, part of that was because of how badly I was doing. And I kind of told myself, right, listen to your own advice. Don't make rage transfers. And it wasn't that I never considered Foden until that Brighton game, because I think last week when I was talking about my future plans, it was kind of Kane and Foden or Son and Vardy. And I went for Vardy to leave my options open about going for either move later on. So Foden was always in my plans, but not necessarily until Game Week 12. And then I was thinking, right, I could just bring it forward. Crystal Palace at home. Obviously, I was kind of banking on the fact that from an FPL point of view, Man United wouldn't be too tough for Man City. And right now, it doesn't look like it will be either. But I didn't make the moves, and I'm really happy that I didn't, because since then, you know, or in total from the weekend, there's now 4 flagged players in my team. So Vardy, Mbeumo, Rafinha and Azpilicueta are all yellow flagged. Now, the interesting thing is, Leeds did have a Carabao Cup game, and Bielsa was asked about Rafinha, and apparently there's a chance that he's back for Sunday, which I'm really surprised about after seeing the tackle and how he went off. There is going to be another press conference from Leeds and obviously from the rest of the managers before the weekend. So all these flagged players, hopefully we'll hear more from. I think Frank at Brentford has already said that Mbeumo should be, or hopefully will be fine for Sunday. With Vardy, apparently he felt the issue before the game and just said he was going to be okay to play. But Brendan Rodgers just, I think it was at half-time, just didn't think that he was looking right. So he brought him off. So Vardy already knew about the injury and then played on anyway. So we'll have to see if that's an issue. And as for Azpilicueta, again, a lot of kind of Chelsea reporters are saying that he should be available for the weekend. So in some ways, it leaves me in a tricky spot. And the reason I've come on to put up the whole team in one go is because there's a lot to talk about. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with my transfers because a lot depends on who is fit and who's not. So one move I did strongly consider, and I probably will strongly consider it even if they're fit, is Azpilicueta and Rafinha to Chilwell and Foden. So that brings in two players that I really want. If there's any doubt about Rafinha playing against Norwich, I'm very tempted to sell him for a few weeks and just see what happens, because the fixtures, they're not awful, but they do tighten up a little bit. And I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about how Leeds are playing right now. Rafinha is key for them. So if he's available, they're going to play better. And obviously, it would be tough to take him out ahead of Norwich. And I don't think I could do that, because as bad as Leeds are playing, Norwich is a really, really good fixture. And Rafinha could definitely get decent points in that. But I just feel like I'm holding on to this guy. I do think he's great value. Like, one thing I don't like doing is forcing a player out. And Rafinha doesn't need forcing out of my team. But if he is injured, then being able to get Chilwell and Foden in 2 moves seems like a pretty good bet for me. Like, I think Chilwell will be the best Chelsea defender moving forward. Foden's obviously looking really good now as well. That Man United game in Game Week 11 doesn't even look too bad. But it all relies on the other two, Vardy and Mbeumo, being fit. But it doesn't matter massively, because I've got Saka and Livramento on the bench. Just quickly on that point, some part of me thinks that I should play Livramento over Laporte, but I don't. This is where I'm like struggling with these 4 million defenders. Right, I know that Livramento is good, but the Man City defense is just better than the Southampton defense. Right, we all know that. We all agree, and it's not like Laporte has no goal threat from set pieces either. So to be honest, I think that's the best play, is just to play like my best defenders. And look, it sucks when you put Livramento's points on the bench every single week, but that's going to happen when you've got a good squad. I've even got Saka on the bench. I think him versus Azpilicueta is probably quite close anyway, but I'm keeping Saka for that Watford at home game. I think that's in Game Week 11. So the other options, and by the way, Salah was 100% my captain. Unless he gets injured, there is no moving off him whatsoever at the moment. We'll see what happens kind of Game Week 12 to 15 when Kane has his good fixtures. Because I do think there's a couple of weeks where you could go against Salah, even though it's going to be very scary. But the other moves, I think with Mbeumo, because it was a minor injury and because he's so cheap, I don't really want to spend a transfer on him. So I'm happy to bench him and play Saka or Livramento, even if that means 5 at the back, which I don't usually like doing, but needs must. If Vardy's out, I'm probably going to get rid of him straight away, because one, I kind of regretted the move anyway. I'm not sure the value is there in Vardy. I think he's done really well, and I think he'll probably continue to tick over for the rest of the season, but he is over 10 million. So if he's out, I'm probably going to change him straight down to Tony, and that will give me money to upgrade someone else to Foden, and that will depend on how many other injuries I have. If Rafinha and Mbeumo are both out, then I'll probably trade up Rafinha and just put Mbeumo on the bench. Obviously, if Vardy was out, I could just change him to Tony and not make any other moves and just use my bench if one of Azpilicueta and Mbeumo or Rafinha is fit. But I don't know, it just feels... I'm kind of struggling whether to go a little bit aggressive and get Chilwell and Foden in, who everyone's going to be looking at anyway, who I think are really good options, or just using my bench for a bit. But the problem with that is it almost feels like you just fall behind a little bit. Like, you want to get the players in that everyone else is getting right now. So in a couple of weeks' time, you get them. At that point, there's new players to start thinking about. And unless you start taking a couple of hits, you start to fall behind. Obviously, I've used the wild card. So I'm not actively looking to use or to take a hit, but it's definitely there. Antonio obviously got his goal against Spurs. Happy to keep him for Villa. We'll decide after this game what to do with him. If I bring Tony in for Vardy, then there is a chance that Antonio keeps his place for a little bit longer, maybe for Kane at some point. But right now, again, I don't think Antonio, like if I was wildcarding right now, I don't know if I would have Antonio in my team. But he's also not a player that I'm looking at every week thinking, right, got to get rid of him. If he has to stay, he'll stay. Jimenez against Everton at home again. Hopefully he'll tick over as he has done. 4 returns in 4 now. The double Man City defence looks good. Both Cancelo and Laporte didn't start in the Carabao Cup either. I haven't quite caught the end of the game yet, but hopefully they don't come on, don't get injured or anything like that. Obviously, Trent's easy. Ramsdale versus Foster's pretty close. So I'm not sure about what I'm going to do there. I might just play Ramsdale. But obviously I've got Vardy and Leicester are looking a little bit better at the moment. So I might just play Foster and hope for the best. Hope he gets a clean sheet there. Otherwise, I think the squad is looking pretty good. I don't need a transfer this week, but I kind of want to make one. I just need to weigh up whether a -4 is worth it. And I think -4s can do well for your team. But obviously, when you got a deep bench, it makes it a lot harder to play them. So I'm going to see what happens. But Foden and Chilwell and Tony are the 3 players that I will definitely be looking at bringing in this week in one way or another, depending on how the fixtures fall. Unfortunately, I can't give any more info on what's going to happen with these injuries until we hear press conferences. But my thinking is Mbeumo and Azpilicueta will be past fit. Vardy probably will be as well. And Rafinha could too. So I could roll the transfer. Let me know what you think in the comments below. By the way, the setup, this should be the last video on this setup now. Hopefully I'll do my normal one on Friday for probably game week preview and final thoughts and captaincy all rolled into one. I'll answer a bunch of your questions as well. But thank you for sticking with me. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. I don't think there's anything else to add for that team. It's very hard to confirm plans when you've got so many flagged players, but I am very tempted to I don't even know if it's an aggressive move because everyone else is going for Foden, but I just feel like if I look at that team and Rafinha's out and I've got Chilwell instead of Azpilicueta and I've got Foden, like I'm really happy with that. There are some of the players that I would like, Tony for example with his good run of fixtures, but I don't think it's like a priority to get in or take any more hits, and I think you really have to be able to justify the hits, and one of the reasons for me is price changes. I'm not going to be able to make my future moves too much longer if I miss many more price rises. So I don't want that to force me into moves, but you definitely have to take that into consideration. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, do give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'll catch you again soon.